to say that a human being, President Mahama, doesn't have to know everything. But when you are running for president, you have to get some good briefing. Obviously, when it comes to Ghana's participation in the WASI, he's wrong. It's not true that we've pulled out. We are part of WASI.
WASI or WAEC? Which is
WASI.
which?
See, WAEC is the examining body. WASI is the exams. All West Africa.
So like the GCO level?
Yes, the Anglophone West Africa participating in the same exams. And if you look at what happened last year, every year they select 3 top students. 2 of them were from Ghana. If we are not part of WASI, how the 2 Ghanaian students from St. James topped the WASI?
Oh, I see. So the exam that we write in WASI, Nigerians write the same exam.
The same exam,
Sierra Leone,
Liberia,
they all write
Gambia.
the same questions.
No, actually, there's some variation because there are some exams that Ghana does alone. For example, integrated science. It's a Ghanaian exam.
But it's set by WAEC.
WAEC. So examiners in all the West African countries. So there's some chief examiner for, let's say, chemistry may be from Ghana, but the social studies may be from Nigeria. Another question, subject area may be from another country. So they call something standardization. There are 2 options open to countries. If because of some exigencies, you will not be able to test with the entire West Africa, then the West African chief examiners come together and they set the questions for you, for that particular country. So what it means is that you are doing similar questions just like any other nation, but your time may be a bit different from the rest of the countries in the sub-region. So what happened to Ghana was simply this. During the COVID era, in fact, Ghana decided to test when the other countries said they were not going to. And somehow, later on, they joined.
Ghana decided to test what?
During the COVID era. 2020, 2019. Remember when, in the peak of the COVID, some countries felt like it was not safe enough
to do the exam.
To do the exams. Ghana decided that we'll do the exams. And later on, the other countries joined us. And we did the 2019, we did the 2020 together with the entire West Africa. Now, when it goes to 21, our calendar had become a bit different. We were going to school from January, ending in December. So if we were going to test with the other countries, what it meant was that our students were only going to be prepared for 4 months. January, February, March, April, because exams begin in May. The practicals, and then you finish in June. So the question that was posed to us by WAEC was, if you are not testing with that because you don't want to use 4 months preparing your students, then you're going to go through the same exams regimes that they call standardization. The examiners are going to be the same WAEC examiners. Your questions are going to be the same level of difficulty. And when it comes to selection of the top students, you are going to be part of the selection just like...
Just that we take our exam in December?
In December. No, we actually do it in August, September.
Oh, we take our exam in August, September.
And we do it that way because... And that was the reason why we decided to open school this year in December.
Okay.
This
so that our students are recovering faster from COVID than other West African students.
Because our students are getting the accurate number of instructional hours to prepare for the exam. Some of the country decided that they didn't really bother. So if it's 4 months, they will do 4 months.
Yeah.
So they just wanted normalcy without looking
but we were determined to give our students adequate preparation.
To do it. So now what has happened to us is that if you look at what our students have done, they've done very well. And now within the next 1 year to 2 years, then we'll come back because our calendar will have done a reset of the calendar so that June testing becomes possible for Ghana. And that's why I want to open schools in December. I know there were some hue and cry about why open school in December, but now we are positioning ourselves to be able to open school in September in the following academic years.
So that we are back to normal.
We are back to normal.
So you are suggesting that this is what President Mahama's policy advisors had misinterpreted as misunderstood?
No, the thing is this. I don't think there should be no misinterpretation, no misunderstanding. Just talk to WAEC. You call WAEC and say, WAEC, is Ghana still part of WASI? So I think it's a case of propaganda because they wanted to find something to undercut the great achievement of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's WASSCE performance. And if you look at what is going on here, it's just a case of propaganda to undercut us, because there's no other way. If you want to say something factual, WAEC is headquartered in this country. If you don't want to go there, if you call as a former president, somebody will come to your house and brief you. And they will have told him that Ghana is part of the whole WASSCE exams. So for him to go out there and talk about that we are testing differently and Ghana has its own set of questions, ask WAEC, Mr. Former President, former Vice President, just call WAEC and ask them, what is the nature? It's a bit technical, so maybe he doesn't understand. But my concern is that if you are running for president, can you get some adequate briefing? He won't call me, but if he calls me, I'll brief him. But at minimum, call WAEC and find out. So WAEC will be able to tell him that Mr. Former President, Ghana is part of WASSCE. So his statement is not accurate.
Will Parliament have this information? Because Dr. Clement Apak seems to agree with President Mahama.
Clement Apak choose to agree with what President Clement Apak wants to agree, Dr. Clement Apak. Yes, the point of the matter is this. You see, that is what I call the nature of slash and burn politics in our country. It happens around the world, but Ghana cannot afford slash and burn politics. The politics that says, even if my opponent is doing well, I'll cut him into pieces, burn him, and let the world think that he's the worst that the country has ever known, so that I can be elected. It's called slash and burn politics. The slash and burn politics is what President Mahama is doing. He want Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to look so bad that people will say, hey, he's so bad, so I'm better. Mahama is better. But when it comes to education, President Mahama, his accomplishment cannot be compared to that of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay, so that's the first video. We continue with the second video where Dr. Educhum is responding to us on the video we played about President Mahama says the students are cheating. For the avoidance of doubt and for those who just joined us, we have played the Mahama video already. We'll play it again because it sits in direct contest and contrast with what Dr. Educhum told us relating to the answer on the question of whether students were cheating or not. Later on, we'll play another video for you where Dr. Educhum explains why students are doing well. Because yes, if students are doing significantly well, the Ministry of Education must be able to tell us why. If they had planned this so, if it's a planned something, if it's not just, it didn't just happen and they are aware of how it happened, then they should be able to tell us why are we having such results. And then we will talk about the STEM that he's doing. He has something to say about that. And then Mr. Bright Simmons, Franklin Kujo's partner at Imani and my very, very good friend, had occasion to say something on Twitter in support of President Mahama, using some figures. You know, Bright Simmons is a data cruncher. So he used some figures, and it would appear that on this occasion, he got us wrong. But wait and see it first before you agree with me. Now, though, let's go back to President Mahama's video. It will come back, and I'll link you straight to Dr. Educhum's response directly on the allegation by the former president that students were cheating.
Many places, one checking Kwadano, they let the children cheat freely. You go to places, and the teachers are conniving with the children to cheat. The effect of this will be seen later, because you certify these children, you say he's of this standard, either basic BECE or SSCE, and that child will use that certificate, go abroad to a school, and they'll find that in Ghana your qualification is not up to what you say it is. It is going to affect this nation. They think we're just doing it. Anytime the results come, you say, oh, the children have performed better than they ever performed before. You know, and we all know what is happening in the system. And so, you know, teacher for, we will reorder things so that things are done properly.
Okay, so that's President Mahama. This is Dr. Educhum's direct response.
President Mahama wants to do slash and burn politics. He wants to undercut the great feat chalked by the children of this country, the teachers of this country, the parents of this country, and that is very unfortunate. There's no truth in his allegations, because let's take a look at the number of subjects that were cancelled, the percentage of subject, one or more subject that was cancelled.
Okay, so it's coming from the
WAEC.
It's coming from the cancellations.
Yes.
So were results cancelled?
In 2014.
No, I mean the recent one.
Of course, every exam should get a few cancelled.
How do they? O-level they used to cancel.
They used to cancel.
What I remember is maybe you take maths, English, physics for our science students, and then you hear on radio that the maths, English, and physics has been cancelled. The new date is so and so. We remain in the school, and then we take the exam.
That is very different cancellation. This is the cancellation after the results come out, because when they are grading it, they may detect some anomalies.
So after the results have come,
some schools
they call a candidate, say your results have been cancelled as an individual.
Oh, it used to happen during our time too.
Really?
Oh yeah. Maybe your school you went to.
We have the cancellation of the subjects, which we all go and take again.
No. Presec is not used to getting subjects cancelled.
But how do people get the subject cancelled and individual results cancelled? How do
in a classroom? They may see a situation where there's collusion between two candidates, and there's a clear
and they observe that from the marking.
Yeah, from the marking. So examiners flag distance.
Oh, I see that these two candidates may have connived.
And then they will analyze it and see, they connived because they are repeating the same thing. If
they are making the same mistakes.
It's a comma, the same mistakes. Or there may be situations where they copied, and they literally copied from the same sheet. So examiners are able to flag those things.
I see.
And they are able to determine that you truly cheated. Sometimes the students may even leave the paper that they copied from in the answer booklet. Accidentally. So they are able to catch them and say your paper is
So this
cancelled.
cancellation we're talking about, the results have been published. You are candidate X. You are going back to your school for us. They say, no, your results were cancelled. Go to WAEC.
It has been happening.
Okay.
It has been happening.
Okay.
But the thing is this. In 2014, 0.82% of students, which is a minimum number, by the way, 0.82% of students have one or more subjects cancelled. In 2014, under President Mahama,
0.82. 0.82. Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Okay.
And in 2023, 0.81 got their subject cancelled, one or more subject cancelled.
That's close.
0.82, 0.81.
0.82 is more
than 0.81.
Yes.
So if he wants to make a case about cancellations, right? And I think Bryce Simmons also came up with a tweet regarding that. If you do the mathematical analysis, more people got their subjects cancelled under President Mahama than under 2023.
But let's go to the equation of the denominator. The denominator will be the number of students, isn't it?
You see,
2014 number of students and 2023. I'm expecting 23 should be more.
It's a difference, but the percentage is what you look at so that you can compare. Otherwise, you can't compare.
But if you use the percentage, then in terms of real numbers,
the real numbers,
2014
because
will show a significant
more people wrote the exams
in 23.
Yes. So that is why if you want to compare, you use the percent.
So 23, where more people wrote the exam, cancellation was lower than 14. Several years later.
So the point of the matter is that, and that's why I'm saying that essentially, it's a matter of not being briefed.
Well, but is the cancellation the basis of collusion?
I mean,
cheating with
that is the point.
Teachers helping students. That's his allegation. Really.
That's the allegation that he's making.
Yeah.
But the bottom line for me is this: if those subjects are cancelled, they are not part of the results, right? So if there's collusion and the subjects were cancelled,
it's been taken care of.
Yes,
it's been
cured.
So that the result as it stands is sacrosanct.
That is it.
So your analysis about whether people cheated or not is neither here nor there.
No, it's neither here nor there.
Because the cheating has been found and cancelled.
So
it's like you go to a football match and you score 2 disallowed goals and you lose the game by 1-0. Then you say, I won 2-1.
Yeah.
But the goals were disallowed. So they are not part of. Or you say that the game was fraudulent because the goals were disallowed.
So at the end of the day, it's neither here nor there. You see, the point of the matter is this, and I'm so happy when I look at the results. If you look at 28.7,
this 2015.
2015, 7 years under NDC, and 7 years under MPP.
Is that a pass rate we are looking at? What are we looking at? Percentage of candidates obtaining A1 to C. That's the pass rate.
That's actually the credit.
Yeah, the credit.
If you add the pass and D7 and everything.
Yes, so this up to credit.
Yeah, credit. So if you look at
in 2015, these are language subject areas.
Yeah, subject areas.
So English language, 42% passed.
45.2.
45.2, sorry.
And
23 is 73.
73.11.
Oh, that's a significant rise.
Then you go, so this is why it cannot be by accident, right?
Really significant.
You go to integrated
science, 28% passing in 2015, 2023, 66.82.
It cannot be an accident. It cannot be by chance. You go to maths.
32% passing in 2015.
And then
that's abysmal. 32% only got credits.
Yeah.
32% in mathematics.
Yes.
2015.
Yes.
Of the people who wrote the exam in Ghana.
And science was even worse, 28.
And maths is more disappointing. This core maths.
No, core maths.
So this is not elective maths.
No, core. And with that, they can't move up.
32% only are passing.
Yeah. And they couldn't move up. And now it's 62.
Even 62 is not that satisfactory.
Yeah, of course. And
for a country that is hoping to turn around.
As a mathematics teacher, I know we can do more.
Yeah, 62 is not that great.
And we're going to do more. But look, it was 32.
Yeah.
And now 62. Then
but social studies was
57.4.
Well, it's not good, it's above 50%.
Yeah.
And now you have it at 76.
Yeah, that was the only subject that was above 50%.
That's
so
serious.
When you see the red, it means that year those subjects were below 50%. Below 50%. Below 50%. Now, free senior high school graduates started coming out and everything was above 50%.
Ah, that's interesting.
And
so from 2020, when the first senior high school wrote first free SHS wrote the exam.
Yes.
All the core subjects, English, integrated science, maths, and social studies, candidates were doing above 50%.
And it has
the global scores.
And it has been that way
like that
ever since. That cannot be by chance. It cannot be by accident. It has nothing to do with any cheating. Because if you cheat, why can guarantee you that you're going to be caught? So at the end of the day, this is not about cheating. It's not also because we are not part of WASI, because we are part of WASI. So at the end of the day, trying to undercut, trying to destroy the nation's credibility in exams because you can't stand the fact that the students have done better than when you were in government is something we have to avoid as a nation. I believe that, just like you were saying about the mathematics, he can say that, hey, 62, I can do it 80. But don't go and fight 62 when you have 32. Don't fight 66 when you have 28. And you better not fight 73 when you have 45. If you could do it, you could have done it here. You should have done it here. And you couldn't do it here. Somebody does it, and you say, no, I couldn't do it, so how did you do it? That's the bottom line. That I couldn't do it.
So how did you do it?
How did you do it?
And I couldn't do it, so it's not possible, so I don't believe that you did it.
But what he's not understanding is the fact that removing the cost barrier gives the student the peace of mind.
I was coming to that. It's very interesting, isn't it? Dr. Duchum is a very interesting talker. The way he mixes his talk with a bit of sarcasm and all that is quite interesting. Good evening. If you're just joining us, you missed quite a bit. Let's move on quickly because tonight we have a lot to talk about. Now, so we asked Dr. Duchum that, okay, you are showing us data that shows that the results are improving and are impressive. What do you attribute as Minister of Education, as the policy giver? What do you attribute to the improvement in the results that we are seeing so far of the SSC outcome? What is it? Because if you cannot tell us how the results are improving, then we don't believe that the results are actually improving in reality. But if your data shows that it's improving, there must be a policy decision behind it. What is the policy decision that is animating and giving impetus to this kind of results that we are seeing? Here is Educhum again on that matter.
Cost barrier remover.
What is cost barrier?
The issue was that there were 100,000 students every year who couldn't go to school after they'd been admitted to senior high schools.
They couldn't because they had to pay fees.
They had to pay.
And there were those
and
who
were those who go also struggled to pay.
And so occasionally they go back home.
Yes,
they are sacked, then they come back.
The first day of school, a number of them will not go and eat in the dining hall because they didn't have a sheet, an approved sheet of paper
to say you have paid your fees.
You have paid your fees. And some of them wandering around school, finishing their shito, would then go home to collect the monies that their parents didn't have when they were coming to school. Some will stay there for 4 weeks, 6 weeks before they get the money to come. When they come back, their fears will have gone ahead and have studied better than them. How did you expect that these students could do on the WASI? There was no way they were going to do well. So when you remove the barrier, First week of school, they are there in their numbers because there's no cost barrier. Therefore, contact hours then improves for everyone, not just for those who can afford to pay. Consequently, schools do better under a situation of free secondary education than when there's a cost barrier. Look at Presec. Of course, it's always been a great institution. Now, before free senior high school, the pass rate, the credit rate was around 95%. Now it's 98% plus. Because the few students who were bringing the scores down, now they will be there and they get quality instruction. And then on top of it, there was something called extra classes for those who could afford. So you go there, they collect the money, and those who could afford had extra tuition after school or before school. Now you don't have to pay. The government pays for the teachers to offer that extra tuition.
For every student?
Every student. Yes, it's called academic intervention. Every year we pay about 65 million. Next week we are releasing the money by Friday for teachers to be paid that extra money for the extra work that they do for students. On top of it, you have textbooks being dispatched to the schools. And then also training of teachers.
Through licensure?
No, actually, professional development purposes. There's something called the Secondary Education Improvement Program. Under that, a lot of teachers got, science teachers especially, mathematics got special training. And the training is ongoing. In fact, we have examiners who we hire to go around and train the teachers for them. Because it's a different thing knowing how to teach and also knowing how to answer the questions.
Yeah.
So markers and examiners go around, paid for by GES, to support teachers to know the techniques and how to do well. So a number of factors account for.
The more I listen to you, Minister, the more I agree with the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Dr. Raymond Atuguba, who used to be Executive Secretary to President Mahama. He said in 2017 that Parliament should codify free SHS as a law so that in future, nobody can change it. The more I listen to you, the more I agree with him on that. These interventions are significant.
Very significant. The course of history of this country will change forever. And more so, this is an access intervention. The moment you change the quality, you build more science labs, like we've done. Then you're improving the quality of teaching and learning. The outcomes become better.
Yeah.
The more you do STEM, and you have more students getting into the STEM-related fields, the quality is improving.
Okay, so Dr. Educhum talked about the improvement of quality and the cost benefits. I heard when President Mahama spoke about this, and I listened to Abronya DC, my friend Abronya. He's the MPP's Bono Regional Chairman. Young man Abronya, you know him, don't you? Very troublesome guy. Abronya said something that was very interesting. He said in the video that when he was going to school in Sunyani, everybody thought that, as they say in Chiwabong, you know that he's dumb, he's not smart. Everybody thought he's not smart. Then he asked the audience and the camera that, don't they think he's smart today? Abronya said that they thought he wasn't smart because he goes to school and he has to go home for school fees. And they beat him up. And when I was in Presec, people were asked to go home for school fees. And that is why they thought he wasn't smart. Now that he's grown up and he's studying and he's doing his master's, everybody knows that he's a very smart guy. But they thought he wasn't smart because of school fees. So John Mahama should not say some of the things he's saying. But as Abronya DC, he's a full politician. I just enjoyed that interview. And that's what Dr. Educhum was saying, that the removal of cost bias. I don't know how many viewers can relate to that, but that's what this year is about. This year is an election year. It's about electing people into office. It's about electing the people who can help your future. It's about electing policies that are important for the future. I'll be talking about that later tonight when I talk to H.S. Kanko about how the election in Ghana, and what are the main issues for the election in Ghana. It's about electing people who have designed policy, whose policy outcomes we can tell. We can look at from planting of the seed to the germinating of the seed, to the growing of the crop, to the harvesting it and sending it to the market. If a political party or a politician can show you the policy processes that have achieved something for Ghana, you should elect him. If a politician cannot show you what policy processes he has undertaken to achieve something for Ghana, you should not elect him, because both of the candidates behind me have been in before, except that President Dr. Bawumia has not been president before, but he's been vice president before. He's been part of Nana Akufo-Addo's administration. What is going to happen in 2024 is a referendum on Nana Akufo-Addo's administration, now led by Dr. Bawumia. So he has something to show, or he must have something to show. John Dramani Mahama John Dramani Mahama on my left has also been president before. Incidentally, he's also been vice president before. So he should tell us, both of them should tell us, this is the policy I planted, it germinated, it became a crop, we harvested it, it went to the market. Ghana has not solved all these problems. America has not solved this problem. We will not solve all the problems today. But what has been your contribution to chipping away some of the problems that we have had as a country? That is what the election is about. The election is not about Abua Kwasia with Jimmy Unim Nyansa. It's not about that. It's about, tell us, both of you, you have all been in government before. Tell us what you were able to achieve in government. That's what I hope that viewers are going to look at and take a decision on the voting. I just hope so. People may not vote like that. They may vote like that. Whatever you do, whatever you plant, there are consequences for it. Okay, Dr. Educhum continued by showing us some of the practical ways in which the government has improved education for us to get those outcomes in integrated science and all the accolades that they are getting for education. This is what he said.
These are new science labs that we're building across the length and breadth of Ghana. I think this is the one at Okuapimai. This is Ebri Girls.
Government is building
these science labs.
Equipped?
Yes, fully equipped.
So it's as good as a science lab in a secondary school in California?
If not better.
Oh, I see.
It will amaze you that some of the things you are seeing here is better than what we were using in California. Wow. The STEM labs that the country is doing. So if you look at all these science labs across the country, this I think Kumasi High School, this is St. Louis Senior High School. You have some at, this is Aflao Community Senior High School, the first E-block to have that kind of lab. And the president went and opened it in Aflao. You have Wesley Girls, we built 6 science labs for them at a go. So that has enhanced teaching of science.
This is a mixed school. Which school is
this? This is a mixed school, Kumasi Anglican.
Kumasi Anglican Senior High.
Senior High.
Wow.
So across the length and breadth of the country, we are retooling science and we are building new ones. And this is enhancing what we do. And no wonder you can have more students doing well on integrated science. So the bottom line is that there has been serious investment. And I think most of these are under the radar. Most Ghanaians have not seen this. And once they begin to see, then look at the Hantamai girls. If you see their participation in science lab activities, all the equipment, the chemicals that they need, the microscope, everything is there. And the Hantamai girls is doing very well in science. So it's not by accident that the country is witnessing such a growth in academic achievement. And the interesting thing is that this growth is better than under the 4-year senior high school. Because when we did we did 4-year secondary under President Kufuor, achievement went up. Now with 3 years under Nana Danko Kufuor, because of the cost removal and the student getting the psychological peace of mind to study, not thinking they're going to be kicked out of school. Now we are getting better learning outcomes with 3 years than even 4 years. So something great is happening. And I think as a nation, we need to commend ourselves and be proud of our children and encourage them to do more.
That's Dr. Educhum on the science lab. So the last part of Dr. Educhum's conversation is here now. The last but one. He responded to Bright Simmons. I'm wondering whether we should show that or put that for social media. Okay, let's show it. Not that long. Is it long? No, it's not long. Let's show Dr. Educhum's response to Bright Simmons.
These are the subject results cancelled. That means one or more subjects were cancelled. And I alluded to it earlier on. In 2014, 0.82% were cancelled. In 2023, 0.81%. So Bryce Simmons probably got his mathematics wrong because...
So 0.81 is less of 100.
Of course, than
0.82. I think that's what people must understand.
H2, so 82%.
Once it goes beyond the decimal, it means differently. It's interpreted differently.
Okay. You see, 0.82% is less than 1%. It's very different. So what Bryce Simmons was simply doing was that he said that the cancellation in 2014 was only 0.13 and in 2023 it was 0.81. He was comparing apples and oranges. Why do I say so? He took the entire results cancelled, which was 0.13 for 2014, and compared it with the subject results cancelled for 2023.
Yeah, I get that.
So he simply multiplied...
So subject results for 2014 is 0.82. subject results 2023 is 0.81.
Which is less.
Yes, okay. Entire results cancelled.
It was 0.13.
In 14.
Yes.
And this was 0.19.
Yes.
Still less.
So, no.
Still less?
No, this is more.
This is more. 2023 is more.
But he did not compare the entire results of 2014 against the entire results of 2023. He took the entire results cancelled in 2014
with subject
compared
results.
it against the subject results of 2023.
Yeah, that seems like a clear error. So he was looking at a different column.
Yes, different column
on the spreadsheet.
Yes,
and
so I cut him a
columns.
slack for that.
Yeah.
That he took 0.13. That's why in his explanation he said 0.13 times 6. That means 600% more.
So he was comparing this to that.
Yes.
Okay, so these are the entire results cancelled. That don't form part of the results, as you said.
The entire results cancelled
but the question still,
all your results were cancelled. So,
but it still remains that 2023 had more entire results cancelled.
If you, yes, that is a fact. But one or more, 2014 was more than 2023.
Does having more results cancelled suggest that there was more cheating?
No. In the first place, it's not.
Why not?
But because you see, all that they are saying is that they were able to detect more.
Yes, but the fact is more people were found cheating
and they
in 23 than in 14.
But they caught them.
Yeah, the numbers in 23 were bigger. We know that already.
For 2023, 2023, one or more. Okay, because that form a larger chunk.
Yes.
Of the population. One or more.
Yeah.
Was 0.81 for 2023 and 0.82 for 2024.
One or more subjects.
One or more subjects.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. That was what
Which was cancelled for everyone.
Everyone.
And everyone rewrote it.
For those subjects.
Yes, for those subjects.
So the bottom line is this. If you are comparing, nothing stops you from comparing apples and apples. That means if you take 2014, compare subject results for 2014 against subject results of 2023.
Yeah, I think that's set.
But what he did was that he took the entire results of 2014, which was 0.13, as he alluded to
subject results.
And compared to the subject
I'm guessing he got that massively wrong, and I'm sure he will come back and discuss it. But why did we have more cancellations in 23? And are we going to have more cancellations in 24? Why are we having more cancellations?
I mean, the bottom line is this. In examination regimes around the world, 0.1 is not significant. It does not take away from the value of the exam.
Absolutely.
The examination authorities...
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. And look at here. 2014 was 0.96, and this is 1, right? Yeah. 0.96 and 1%. I mean, it doesn't diminish the value of the exams. But the bottom line is this. There are some measures our government has taken that has not been done before.
All right, so we are coming to those measures that government has taken that has not been done before. It's very interesting here if you are listening to Dr. Educhum. Now, he's going to show us those measures. He says that these days, the way they write the exams, you cannot actually cheat. Very interesting. So when you're sitting at index number, and because my name is Adom AD, my index number was always 001, and then next to me was Chenche. He was in Presec, you don't know him. Then Billy Cooks was also in the area as well. And then the guys with the B names are there. But sometimes you can have a Y, because I think it goes A up to the end of the room, then it starts, then Y is next to you. So at O level, we know he's sitting next to us. So we plan our way of preparing for the exam, you see. Now, Dr. Educhum is saying that there's something that's happening now, that if you think that you are Adom and therefore you are sitting near Adoyobo or you are sitting near Abebio and you are going to plan a way to prepare the exam, listen to Dr. Educhum. You won't do that anymore. Have a look.
You see, look at BEC. What have we done? 3 years ago, we decided to work with WISE to create what is called serialization, randomization of questions. What it means is that 3 years ago, different regions were doing different multiple choice exams. It may be the same questions, but your number 1 in Ashanti was number 20 in the Volta region. Then from there, they advanced to serialization within different test administration centers. So if you come to Accra, the one at Osu, the questions that are coming there, the way they've been arranged is different from the questions come at the Labadi Test Administration.
But it's all BC.
All BC. As a result, no leakages anymore. The last 3 years, if anybody tells you there have been leakages in BC.
So you are suggesting that finding out cheating is also part of the policy?
Yeah, so what we are doing is this. We want leakages to stop. Now, on the BEC, this upcoming year, what we are working with WAEC to do is to make sure that within the classroom, you can cheat. How are we doing that? How we are doing that is that if I sit next to you, my questions will be different from yours.
Oh, I see.
So if you say question 1 is 1, you say A. Your question 1 is different from my question 1.
Oh, really?
Yes. That is how different examination regimes around the world.
But my question 1 is the same as somebody sitting far away from me.
That your question 1
could be the same.
That person's because you have about 5 versions, or sometimes do about 10 versions
of the same question.
Yes. So the difficulty is finding out who has my version.
That's interesting.
And we don't write the version on your paper.
You just go and take the exam.
And then you take the exams, and it has been randomized for you.
But if it's an essay question, if it's 4 essays...
No, you can have about 20 essays, and the ones that is on your paper is different, but the same level of difficulty. That is how other countries have stopped the menace of cheating within the examination room. So BEC level will be able to stop leakages across the country. The next phase is stop collusion within the classroom. Because if you decide that you want to help something, you can't, because you don't know who is doing what. So the bottom line, until we get to e-testing, our government have decided that we'll do something about this challenge that we've been facing in this country for many years. And WAEC has done a wonderful job putting a stop to all these leakages on the BEC. Of course, the police have been supportive, but the incentive to leak has been taken away. Because when you leak it, nobody will buy.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think we get explanation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Duchum. Now, what are people saying about this? Our next story is Constitution Day with Attorney General. And then our other story is politics in America this year with Dr. Echesikanku. We also have politics in Ghana. Maybe that will come, maybe that will not come. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, now, though, get your text messages ready for Dr. Duchum. But before we do that, let us show you some of the behind the scenes. You know, we like production. We are production people. We just love production. So anytime we go and do a production, we film the behind the scenes so that you can understand what we went through. Those of you who are watching the program with your children, and when I go to these schools, and some of them say that I watch Good Evening Ghana because my father is always watching, and my father asked me to come and sit down and watch. That's how I know you. I go to fanfare for teenagers, and they come to me and say, hey, Uncle Paul, how are you? I say, yeah, you too, how are you? They say, Uncle Paul, my father has been watching your program all the time. I said, what does your father say about me? Then they hesitate small, they smile small, they say nothing. I said, okay, that's great. So these behind the scenes are for young people who are interested in this work, so that by the time they are 22, they like the work. This is what we go through on behind the scenes. That's how we did it in Dr. Duchum's office yesterday. We were there between 10 o'clock and midday at the Ministry of Education. That's what happened. That was the behind the scenes. Okay, let's start with you straight, Fatty. What are people saying?
All right, thank you. But before we go to Dr. Echechum's analysis, I'd like to read messages on the video we posted earlier about our new set. And then this coming from Kwabena. And Kwabena says, congratulations to you and your accomplishments. Wishing you more fruitful years. I've enjoyed following your program for many years. Wishing you all the best. Albert Okwai says, finally the wait is over. Welcome back. I have eagerly waited for the show's return as it provides an excellent platform for my education about my country, Ghana, and its rich incidents. And also coming from Nuros Hassan, he says, a great studio befitting a great media person. We love you, Uncle Paul. So let's go back to the analysis on Dr. Adichum. And Nixon Asian says, so assuming the NDC comes to power in 2025, which is not possible, is Mr. Mahama telling us that when the SHS student sits for exam and passes, the attribution will be that they cheated or aided to cheat? Desperation is a disease for the former president. He should do better. Coming from Kobe Amwa, he says, it's shameful and disrespectful for the former president to insult hard-working students and teachers with such unfounded propaganda. And lastly, coming from Ofe Jr., he says, good evening, Ghana is back, looking all bright, new yet its mandate is steeped of your let's break a leg this year too. Antoinette, what do you have for us?
Okay, Akwesi Echampon says John Mahama only exposed his arrant ignorance of the admission processes that colleges in the US, for example, use in selecting students. The WAEC certificate is just one of the several criteria that they use. SAT test scores, extracurricular activities, school transcript, essay writing, and teacher recommendations are all parts of the requirements admission counselors use in determining the suitability of the student. So Mahama crying wolf about some unqualified children getting admission into foreign colleges abroad is clearly unfounded. Ghanaians should be concerned rather about a minority leader who has no regard for grammar and asks did you reviewed and doesn't know the difference between ask and ask. Nana Nuoma says, good evening, Paul, and Happy New Year to the entire team. Paul, do you remember Dr. Edichum told you the Brong Ahafu came first for national assessment for basic schools? Well, the outcome is a certain 12-year-old boy at your school, Odadie, who is studying science and from Nkranza. Just take this. I foresee the age brackets for SHS reducing to 12 years from 16 years, especially when those new JHS being built begins. Just count the number of students who have gained admission to top international universities under this government, then you would understand. And Nonoma continues to say the only reason more students are passing is because most of the brilliant students from deprived areas who might not have made it to SHS are now in schools because of the free SHS. Abanna says teachers in fact are really working hard. Some of us teach in villages, but that is no excuse because we are paid to work. Now, Solomon Kwesi says, in any civilized democracy, the party whose flag bearer made such remarks about the youth, children, and country's future would have been made to resign. Now, lastly, Mary Bright Efriye says, only educators understand what is going on in the educational sector. Let's use these students and make them write entrance examinations before entering tertiary, and you would see the impact of what this free SHS has done to us as a nation. I personally think that the system needs a review. Angelo.
Right, our friend Desmond from Donkokrom, Happy New Year to all of you in Donkokrom. He says, Paul, that was a very beautiful introduction. Thank you very much. You and your team were really missed. Wishing the best of luck for the year 2024. Jabir Bambigu says, congrats, Paul, on your award. Congrats also to your team that made this possible. It's a year of possibilities. Now, in the spirit of the Guinness World Records that are being attempted all over the country, Felix Donko says, can we have a good evening Ghana-a-thon, suggesting that we have a marathon broadcast of the show. We'll think about that. Now, on to the topic at hand. Ahmed from Tamale says, this NDC reckless talk and frustration is horrible and horrifying. Since independence, there have been efforts by students to cheat. The advent of technology has made this cheating take a new stage. No government has ever condoned it. Moving on, Abduzati from Bolgatanga. Happy New Year to everyone in Bolgatanga. He says, a brand new year with good energy and, of course, interesting topics. I still don't get JDM. Is it the impossible policy he was saying he wants to review? Also, the issue of student-teacher cheating. We leave in the hands of the stakeholders of the exams and the students. Please, Paul, stop saying that it's his advisors on communication. The man himself is a good and affable communicator, so let's speak directly to him and spare his guys. Happy New Year. Now, we have a very important point coming from OG Vincent, and he says 2024 will be interesting. How I wish my grandmother could understand this sweet Borfo analysis, speaking about the interview Paul had with the education minister. Well, back to you, Paul.
Okay, so we're going to take a commercial break, but not yet. We will now do the Constitutional Day review matter. I'll start with the Attorney General's conversation. Maybe you hear a little bit of mine. And I'll talk about Dr. Afari-Jan's situation. What did Dr. Afari-Jan say? Dr. Afari-Jan said that people who file election petitions should be, and lose, should be heavily fined. We have our own views on that. We'll deal with it in a minute. But what is Constitutional Day? 7 January every year is celebrated in Ghana as a Constitution Day. It has replaced the holiday of 1st July. 1st July was also a constitutional day of sort, but it was called the Republic Day. It was a day on which Ghana became a republic. Now, some people do not agree with taking 1st July off as a holiday. The jury is still out on that matter. President Akufo-Addo is clear in his mind that 1st July should be taken out to be replaced with Constitution Day because, according to him, the Constitution of 1st July was overthrown. That if we celebrate 1st July as a holiday, then we should also celebrate the Constitutional Day of 1969. I believe it was sometime September 1969. Then there was 30th September 1979. And then there's 7 January 1993. 7 January 1993 is the one that has stood the test of time. His view of the matter is that celebrate 7 January and keep 1st July as a day of memoriam, as you can remember. But the jury is still out there. Many people can decide what they want. So on every Constitutional Day, we talk about this 1992 Constitution, where it's going, where it has come from. On this occasion, the many conversations were about the amendment or otherwise of the Republican Constitution of 1992. The Attorney General and the Daily Graphic sat down to conduct an interview, which has been widely publicized in the Graphic. Let's begin with the Attorney General first talking about the spirit of the 1992 Constitution, why we have a great document named the Constitution. And later on, he talks about, according to him, some aspects of it that may have a review. But his broad understanding of the matter is that the 1992 Constitution is a great document. Yes, it may require a few changes here and there, but for people to suggest that ignore the 1992 Constitution, even change the presidential system to a parliamentary system, change it to a French system, do a major overhaul, Attorney General says a big no, big no to that. The Constitution has served us well, he says, and it should be maintained. This is how he put it.
So indeed, I share the view that rather than overhauling the Constitution, there's a need for us to strengthen the institutions, strengthen the capacity of the institutions to hold government accountable, and to ensure that the right thing is being done. It's actually the human element. The human element, the people, can also not be overlooked. So the human element in terms of appointment of right personnel who would ensure that the objectives of the Constitution are met is very, very important. Any document enacted by people, which is supposed to serve the people, will have to be subjected to review as time goes on. I've already made a point that that's why there's a need for us to have this Constitution review. But of course, but I would also say that indeed the fashion whereby people on a daily basis, weekly basis, a monthly basis hold seminars asking for review of the Constitution, for me itself is antithetical to the Constitution. It undermines a sound democratic order.
So that's what Godfrey Dame said in one instance, and that was the preamble to his conversation with the Graphic. Now he delves into aspects of some little aspects that he thinks we can tweak to give longevity to the Constitution. We've done 30 years already, so after 30 years we can now find out that we can tweak a little. That's why the American Constitution is the way it is. A small document, every 50 years, 70 years, they add one amendment, second amendment, third amendment. These are the amendments that the Attorney General Godfrey Dame is looking for.
One of the provisions that we held to be unhealthy for a proper working of the Constitution was Article 70, Clause 1 of the Constitution, because we felt that clearly it undermined the principle of usurpation of powers, and that the requirement for the President to appoint a majority of his ministers from Parliament was unnecessary. The President may, if he deemed fit, appoint such majority from Parliament, but it ought not to be a requirement of the President to appoint a majority of his ministers from Parliament. The President should be given a free hand. So the President can appoint 10% of his ministers from Parliament, 15%, 45%, 65%, and whatever. So we recommended to the Attorney General that there ought to be at the appropriate time the tabling of a bill in Parliament for the amendment of that provision. But of course, we recognize that that's an entrenched provision. It's a bit of an entrenched provision. It will have to go through the laborious process of first being introduced in Parliament, referred to the Council of State, and then referred to the Electoral Commission again for a referendum to be conducted and all that. So that's very elaborate.
So
I also take the view, which was actually contained also or reflected in the report of the committee that I indicated, that the process for appointment of officers specified under Article 70 ought to be strengthened through the participation of Parliament. So you find various officers of state who are appointed without parliamentary approval, and I find it very improper. So you find Auditor General, Commissioner of Human Rights, Administrative Justice, the Commissioner of Civic Education, the Electoral Commissioner, and all that. I think all those, the whole gamut of officers listed in Article 70, for me, ought to be approved by Parliament as well. So there ought to be the introduction of parliamentary approval into the appointment process. And that was contained in the report that we presented to the Attorney General in 2019. Then we also found that the process for approval of subsidiary legislation ought to be strengthened. So in this situation, there's virtually no participation at all by Parliament. Once subsidiary legislation is laid in Parliament, it automatically becomes law until it is annulled by the votes of no less than of 2/3 of Parliament. I think we took the view that it ought to come into force after the lapse of 21 days after being introduced on the order paper, and Parliament has, by the vote of a simple majority, approved of such legislation. That for us will ensure that there's opportunity for subsidiary legislation to be fine-tuned and all, rather than giving this or allowing this situation to prevail where the legislation becomes law after being introduced in Parliament, and if it is not annulled by the vote of less than 2/3 of Parliament. We also take the view that if we look at Article 60 of the Constitution, there's no direct provision on how a vacancy occurred or created by either the death or resignation of a vice president ought to be filled. And that was a very big lacuna in the Constitution. So there ought to be an amendment of Article 60 to ensure that the successor to a vice president, when the vice president either resigns or in the unfortunate circumstance where he passes, yes, a vacancy is created. So Parliament, the President ought to be able to appoint a new vice president within 14 days, of course, with parliamentary approval after the vacancy has occurred. And also, if we look at Article 60, we also took the view that it is incongruous for the president to be held to be unable to perform his functions when he's outside the country. So the president is at the United Nations performing his functions, representing the nation. How reasonable can it be that he's unable to perform his functions? Indeed, he's performing his functions there. So our view is that there ought to be an amendment in order to ensure that a person swears the oath to act as president only when the president is unable to perform his functions, other than situations where absence is construed to be inability to perform functions. I think it's most unhealthy.
All right. So those are the views of the Attorney General. He didn't say that. He didn't use the expression Ghana's constitution is the best in the world, as has been widely publicized. He said the constitution is a good document, that the constitution can be kept. We should look at the human factor, the institutions of states, how they play their roles under the 1992 constitution. However, he added that, of course, Article 78, which is 78 appoints ministers, 79 appoints deputy ministers. Both of them sort of tie the president's hand in who he can select and limits the president to who he can select and who he cannot select. Those are his views on the matter. So I talked earlier that we had a Twitter space conversation on Twitter about with young students, very young students. I mean, they are not civil society. They are just students in level 100, 200, and we spoke to them about that on Twitter space. Before we listen to that, though, let's hear what people are saying about what the Attorney General said in text message. Maybe one text message is Fatih, you first.
All right. So before that, Nuruddin Mumuni here has a long message for us on how free SHS helped him. And he writes, I prefer a free SHS with challenges that comes thereafter to a fee-paying SHS with no challenge. I'm yet to see anything that was done successfully without having to go through some challenges. People must understand the beneficiaries of this bold policy are largely the underprivileged, the sons and daughters of farmers, fishermen, market women, churcher and taxi drivers in communities across the country. I am a victim of the fee-paying SHS. Only Allah saved me. I know few friends and relatives that unfortunately got their education truncated for lack of finances, and they are still hustling in their life. Ending this canker with the introduction of free SHS is gratifying, to say the least. Don't be greedily political. Applaud the president and his team for such a fatherly heart. Yes, it's the taxpayers' money, as some may say, but remember some looted it through some questionable deals some time past. Adudi didn't do that, and may Allah bless him. Antoinette, what do you have for us?
Well, now on the amendment proposed by the Attorney General, Eichmann Y says someone should have actually told Odami that the MPs would never review this kind of proposed amendment. Master Planner Junior Kintampo is still hung up on the ex-president Mahama's views. He says ex-president Mahama is confused and desperate for power. Who told you that the children who go abroad, they do not perform? And he goes forward to give examples. He says Tyrone Margai tops US math contest, beating 150,000 students around the globe. Cecil Tete Kuma, formerly of the Infantipim School, now at Columbia University in the USA, and Ifwa Manukuri Ansa, formerly of Achimota School, now at Cornell University, USA. These students are the first batch graduates of free SHS, and they are performing super well in their schools abroad. Are you saying that they used a poor as well? Angela.
Right, it seems our messages are overwhelmingly on education. Prince Bansa from the University of Lincoln says, welcome back, Paul, and Happy New Year to you and your team. Yes, this new setup of your studio is spot on, and the color mix is also on point. Edutrue PhD is always on top of issues. Dr. Balmia should not even stress himself looking for a VP candidate when Edutrue is already equipped for the job. This is according to Prince. Yes, in England, the exams are exactly set the same way to prevent cheating. Recently, I took my SIA license exams. It was only after the exams that I got to realize the position of the questions were different for everyone who sat in for the exam. Such systems don't even require how many people sit in the exam hall. You can all sit together to write a paper, but it will be hard for you to cheat because the questions have been shuffled in a way that everyone has a unique arrangement of their questions. Good stuff. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, so 23 minutes on top of that at 11 o'clock, we're going to do American politics. We might not be able to do Ghanaian politics because we have a sports story to do. African Cup of Nations is coming, and we have a sports presenter who's going to talk to us about it for 10 minutes. Now, though, let's get onto the Twitter space. I started by engaging the young students on the historical basis out of which the 1992 Constitution was written. It's the historical basis that will determine whether it's outlived its usefulness or not, if the historical analysis are correct. And I submit these analyses for correction if there's anyone who feels that analysis are not correct. This is what I told the young people on the Twitter space about the historical basis of the Constitution.
It has become very clear to us that what is lacking in our democratic space is either as a reason of the abuse of the Constitution or the lack of clear expressions from the Constitution out of it. Is the role of accountability. How does the Constitution render accountability? Because one of the fundamental principles of governance for sustainability of a political system is to be sure that the people in power are accountable to the people who elect the people in power. So the electorate and the elected, where's the role of accountability? It is about accountability that some people felt that the British parliamentary system was much better to be adopted by an African country that doesn't have strong institutions than the American presidential system that rides on strong institutions. This is a fundamental argument. I belong to the side that, yes, indeed, we should have gone for the British parliamentary system, because we saw in the political history of Ghana that our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, was uncomfortable with the British parliamentary system because it was forever asking him to render accountability to the opposition. And he felt that because of the era of the day, when he needed to run Ghana and Africa in a certain space very quickly to achieve unity, he didn't need a political system that was drawing him back and asking him too many questions. He may have been right, judging by the environment and the situation of the time. But that helps us to understand that if we're looking for a political system that is providing accountability out of the laws itself. It has to be the British parliamentary. So we can go into the details of how it does that, but we can leave that for now. So if you come back to our 1992 constitution, you have an executive president who almost has unfettered powers, except as the constitution says, he's limited by the provisions of the constitution itself. You have an executive president who towers over the executive. He also towers over the legislature, because it is his ministers that are running the legislature. He also towers over the judiciary, because it is his appointees that are leading the judiciary. These are the cardinal principles that we have to look at. The executive president is also the chairman of the National Security Council, which may make sense because he's the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. But why does he also then appoint the Inspector General of Police, who is to look after civilian matters? So the president appoints Inspector General of Police, and then also appoints all the service commanders. Then he appoints the judiciary. And so in the three arms of government, whereas you're looking at the three arms of government, that we would like to talk about a separation of powers in some of the articles in the constitution, you will still find that the powers are not completely separated, because one individual office holder, i.e. the president of Ghana, by design of the constitution, controls all three arms of government. That is what is worrying. It is worrying not because it's a bad thing, but it is worrying because the day you have a president in power who is minded towards dictatorship, that president will be able to institute a dictatorial government under the 1992 constitution. It is in that regard that people think that the 1992 constitution needs urgent amendment, so that we don't have a situation tomorrow where we elect a president who has dictatorial tendencies and is able to practice such dictatorship using the provisions of the 1992 constitution. That is why those of us who want this, who argued this position, suggest that we should look at the constitution. We should look at why it was made, when it was made, who it may have been made for, and what circumstance was it designed to satisfy. If you ask these questions, you will find that the constitution was primarily designed to satisfy a dictator who was preparing to be a constitutional leader, in the person of Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, who was the military leader. Everybody in Ghana wanted constitutional rule. The PNDC had been divided as to whether they should set up a political party or not. We know about that history. Obeda Samoa has written about it. But then the apparatchiks of J.J. Rawlings' philosophy were of the view that if J.J. Rawlings was very popular in Ghana at the time, he was the most popular politician in Ghana at the time, and that people wanted him to continue. That is a fact. Now, it was thought that if you don't design a constitution that satisfies JJ's powers as he was holding then, it might be difficult for him to accept to transition into a civilian ruler through political party activity. And because he was popular, you needed to consider his personal views about this transition. And that's what happened. That it was good it happened, so that we can have a smooth transition. Now, what I'll say
later on, I told the students in the same Twitter space about where we think amendments should occur in the Constitution and what should be the focus of these amendments. What is the problem that the amendment is solving? What is the deficit that it is feeling? The deficit is filling, or what is the half empty that the amendment will be satisfying to take us to full glass? That's what I said.
Now, what I'll say is that we need to look at the three arms of government and strengthen them against each other, so that our checks and balances systems are strong. So no, not an overhaul of the Constitution, not a general overhaul of the Constitution. There's no reason to do that. But we have to, because this Constitution has served us 30 years, so you can tell that it has some good points. What we need to do going forward is to balance the power situation. First of all, our Constitution develops, our Constitution produces a winner-takes-all situation in our political elections. That must change. We have to use the Constitution to change that. That's one. Number two, we need to strengthen the independence of the three arms of government, even if you like in the fourth arm of government, the media as well. But fundamentally, we need to strengthen the judiciary so that it's independent. It doesn't depend on the executive for anything that is essential. We need to strengthen the legislature so that it doesn't depend on the executive for anything that's essential. And we need to strengthen the executive so that they can carry out his job. So where you feel that a certain power is given to the president over the judiciary, like to say that he appoints Supreme Court judges, if we take that one out and it will strengthen the judiciary against the executive, yes, so by all means we should. Where you feel that ministers of state who are members of parliament become the first ministers, before other ministers who are not members of parliament, and that the ministers who are members of parliament become the first MPs before MPs who are not members of parliament, if we find that that is weakening the legislature and is not allowing it to be able to perform its constitutional duty, we take that out so that we can strengthen the legislature and strengthen the executive as well. Once we can develop a power parity between the judiciary, among the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, we are getting somewhere. So I feel that we should look at it critically. It is a lazy work to say that through the constitution we find a new one. I think that's very lazy. We need to look into our constitution and look at the aspects that need to be amended so that we can develop it to move forward. And I think the framers of the constitution, they've envisaged that already. That is why they made provisions for constitutional amendments.
Okay, so we still have a presentation by Dr. Echisika Anko on what we should expect from the American elections. Very interesting. I'd like you to see it. Now, though, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll go all the way to Abidjan and Bouaké and Yamoussoukro, where the Black Stars have arrived in readiness for the African Cup of Nations. And if you want to send me a text, send me the text of your first African Cup of Nations. My first African Cup of Nations was 1982. I was very disappointed I didn't see 78, but I read all about it. 1982 was my first African Cup of Nations. Owusu Mensah was in goal. Haruna Yusuf was on the right at the back. Kwesi Appiah, whom you know, was on the left. And then I believe in the middle there was Emmanuel Kwashi and somebody, it wasn't Adai Chenchahin, I can't remember. The rest of the team, John Essien was on the right of midfield. They call him Zion Train. Alberta Sase was in the middle. He wore the number 8 jersey. George Al-Hassan was a striker. He played for Great Olympics. Al-Hassan became the top striker of the tournament as well. Kofi Bedu was in number 10 position. And I believe Kofi Abre was on the number 11 position, often substituted by Francis Kumi and the rest of the team. Abedi Pele was on the bench and came in later in the final. He was introduced as a 17-year-old Ghanaian. That was my first African Cup of Nations. It was transmitted in black and white television. For all of us everywhere, I watched it in Birmingham, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The Black Stars later came with a trophy, and all of us, 7-year-olds, 6 years old, were at the Nicholson Stadium where the Black Stars presented the trophy to the military junta led by Flight Lieutenant Rawlins. He was flanked on that occasion, I will never forget, by Captain Pattington and also Captain Richter Addo. The reason why they flanked Rawlins, we were later told that they both had the same complexion as JJ. They looked like him. And when you put the leader before the people, you have to have people who look like him so that when they are targeting him, it's more difficult. I can never forget these Birmingham stories. Forgive me, viewers, for throwing it at you all the time. Now it's a commercial break. When we come back, it's African Cup of Nations and then the American elections. Thank you very much for staying with us on Good Evening Ghana. It's always a pleasure to have you. We'll be right back.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fair missy way.
The patch of Bantama.
Machasi.
It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me, Gidi said we used to Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
That's Kia. Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim Jom Kasan.
Kile Hossein. Cal 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You so feeling when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Have you been to Aqua Safari lately? Let me share my experience with you at the new Aqua Safari Resort. When you arrive, you're greeted by warm smiles and introduced to your 24-hour butler who already has your itinerary sorted. Enjoy water sports activities like jet ski rides, kayaking, water sliding, flyboarding, and castnet fishing. You can even have your lunch here on the boat cruise. Experience horseback riding, tennis, and some golfing amongst a host of other activities. Let the tour guides take you through the sceneries of the Volta River, the mangrove forest, the friendliness of the animals, local and exotic birds, while you pet and feed them. You can have this large space for your conferences, corporate retreats, and so many activities as part of the package. We chose to have our breakfast with a beautiful sunrise right in front of our cabin. We had an amazing experience and I can't wait to return for more.
Visit Aqua Safari Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Discover the perfect blend of quality, modern elegance and affordability with Kingdom Home Real Estate. At Kingdom Home Real Estate, we cater to both local and international clients, offering exceptional housing options in Ebri and Ekropong. Our properties are conveniently located, providing a tranquil atmosphere, top-notch security, and essential amenities such as electricity, water, and backup generators. Our strategic locations offer easy access to popular tourist destinations, all within a 30-minute drive from Accra. Visit us in Ekropon right after the Latte Junction or in Ebri near the Ebri Girls Senior High School. Alternatively, you can reach us Kingdom Home Real Estate, where your dream home becomes a reality.
We are back bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bet. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the Partial Daily Jackpot.
You always get way more with Betway.
These offers have been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Stadium feeling, everything 12 January, I can say about AFCON every year. My AFCON and Soja Call, I will feel High Sense TV, AFCON TV, and a sound system. Yatisu say who? A High Sense AFCON double promo. Yeah, best you AFCON beer. I love AFCON beer. Can clear our High Sense and the AFCON TV so. Sadamna Yedida. That's a commentary no so chagua. Tell clear our High Sense sound system so. Bora High Sense showroom bia. Now ube usa ya TV and the sound system so. Esan AFCON inti. Sa uto ade our High Sense ya. Wasu Jones High Sense kwa na ma 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Sa AFCON radio. Ya manu jeno anya double. If you say High Sense will hama High Sense. Ya de wanna to football. Esan football inti. High Sense shaka krawo home.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
For over 20 years of serving the world with herbal and alternative medicine, we've been successful in treating complicated medical conditions with a perfect combination of herbal and alternative methods of treatments like homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, and many more. We deliver excellent and effective service to people from all walks of life through scientific and traditional means. We have a well-equipped laboratory with advanced diagnostic and treatment devices to help detect your illness, so we know the right medication to be given. At Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, we are proud manufacturers of our own herbal medication. Our zeal and passion to save lives with our patients at heart and outstanding achievements since 1996 has won us several awards. That is why we say, go herbal, go Amen. We are located everywhere in all the regions. Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allahu Shafi, God is the healer.
Customer. Nadabena minka, me papa. What you saying? Me try 10 Ghana. 10 Ghana. 10 Ghana cities. No, dear. Send out Benya. 10 Ghana cities, no. Me dear. 54,000 Ghana cities. 54,000. 540 million. Yeah, the one who made Kamedi is Kasek. Yeah. And then I get it's now when. Now, Boki. Drawn on assassin. Mammy, you volume. Customer! What? One of our daily lucky winners. Dial *946# to play now. Or you can also play online at www.gamepackgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Biggest car center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Nadam Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Nadam Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Asoridaho, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Nado Motofix, Wukwain Sunyonko Papa.
Yes, our clock is working now. We have an extension of the show because we have to show the American election. Now, though, let's go to the African Cup of Nations and talk to our reporter here who is already in there. Is that what the Black Stars are going to wear for the opening game?
No, so this is a vintage from 1995.
I see.
Under 17.
The under 17, 1995. Audu Saka. They were successful.
Yeah.
So are you trying to invoke the success of the 19?
Yes.
Okay, what do you have here? The Black Stars have arrived. Is that correct information?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
In Abidjan. That was yesterday. So let's look through the groups. And Group A has the host nation, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau. Group B, Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, Mozambique.
You know, when we're younger, when we look at these groups, the first thing we check is if we progress. You know, those days Ghana will always progress. So we didn't worry about that. Yeah. So the first thing we check was if we progress, who are we meeting? Yeah. So we progress from Group B, we are meeting Group A.
Yeah. So it's either Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria.
First two here go to first two here. Second place, first place, second.
First place will face second place here, and then second place will face first place here. So it's quite tricky. Anything we get,
so we're picking Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire from here to be the top two, unless something dramatic happens.
Yeah.
And here we're picking Ghana and Egypt to be the top two, unless something dramatic happens.
Yes, Senegal and Cameroon.
Yeah, but that's another group. They are going to D. And Senegal and Cameroon here, Algeria, Burkina,
looks like they're already matched.
Yeah, Morocco, DR, Congo.
Yeah.
So Ghana plays first with who?
With Cape Verde. That's on Sunday.
Is that a team that beat us the last time?
No, that was Comoros.
That's Comoros.
Comoros beat us back in front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cape Verde, have we beaten them before?
Yes, that was 2013 AFCON in the quarterfinals. Wakasu penalty.
Oh, the Wakasu, we beat them 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0.
But they gave us a tough time.
Yeah.
Samaja was in that game.
It was a very difficult game.
Very tough time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we expect to beat Cape Verde on Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully.
Then on Thursday, we're going to play with Egypt.
Egypt, yes, that's the big deal.
With Mohamed Salah.
Yeah, the 7-time champions. They are very ruthless in this tournament. They have won it 7 times. That is in 57.
You know, when we won it, the 4th one, Egypt had won it 3 times.
No, only one.
They had won it once.
Yeah.
When in 82, won the 4th one.
Yeah.
And after one, we sat down, they won 7. Including one they won here in Ghana, wasn't it?
It's the same thing with Kotoko. When Kotoko won the African Cup
in 83.
Yeah. Al Ahly had won only 1. And now they have 8. And Kotoko still has 2. So, yeah. Looks like we just sit down.
Incidentally, Kotoko's first was in 71.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay, so let's go to the stadiums or the stadia. So this is the Félix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium. That's where Ghana will be playing all their matches, all their 3 matches. It's 29,000 capacity.
Oh, 29?
Yeah, 29,000, yeah.
It looks grandiose for 29.
Very, very refurbished. It was named after their first president, Félix Houphouët-Boigny.
Okay.
Very nice man. We go to the Stade Amadou Koulibaly Stadium. That's in Kohogo. Kohogo is in the north of Cote d'Ivoire, so something like Tamale.
Okay.
Yeah. So 20,000 capacity.
Who are going to play there?
That's Group F. That's the Tanzania and then the Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah. So we move to. So this is the.
The inside of the stadium.
The inside of the stadium.
Looks similar to the other one.
Oh yeah.
Quite beautiful.
Very, very beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the Laurent Pokou Stadium, named after their greatest player. Yeah.
A Ghanaian.
Yeah.
His name is Pokou.
Yeah, Pokou. Yeah.
Okay.
They are all Akans. So Ivorians are like Ghanaians. We are all Akans.
So the Laurent Pokou Stadium is where? In Abidjan?
No. Laurent Pokou Stadium is in San Pedro. San Pedro is like the northeast.
Yeah.
San Pedro, very, very nice place. 20,000 capacity.
Fantastic.
20,000 capacity. Then we move to, this is the,
the inside of the Laurent Pokou Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay. 20,000 you said?
20,000, yeah. Okay. Very, very beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
20,000.
So like the second D or the Tamale one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we move to the Stade de la Paix in Boaké. So this is
the
Peace,
place.
Yeah, the Peace Stadium. So it's very significant because you see, Ivory Coast had this civil war they were fighting from 2002 to 2007, and in 2007, this very spot, the stadium wasn't built. This very spot was where the players, that's Didier Drogba, together with his Ivorian players, begged the rebels and the military to stop the war, and this stadium was erected on that same spot. So that's why it's called Stade de la Paix, or the Peace Stadium. So it's a very significant stadium. Very significant stadium. Yeah. So Charles Konan Bani Stadium in Yamoussoukro, the great Yamoussoukro.
Yes.
The political capital of Ivory Coast.
Yes. Houphouët-Boigny's hometown.
Yeah. Housing the biggest basilica in West Africa.
The cathedral.
Yeah, the cathedral. Very nice place.
How many seater?
This is also 29,000.
Okay.
Very nice stadium. And this is the Grandeur Stadium that China supported with $200 million.
In grants or in loans?
In grants.
To La Côte d'Ivoire?
Yeah.
To build the stadium?
Yep.
It's called the Alassane Ouattara Stadium. Named after the president?
Yeah. 60,000.
And that's where Ivory Coast will be playing?
Yep.
So this is where the final will be played?
Yes.
The opening game will play there?
Yeah.
All Ivory Coast games, as long as they're in the tournament, will play there?
Very Grandeur Stadium.
And after that, I'm sure it goes to ASEC Mimosa in Africa Sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 11th largest stadium in Africa.
But the design is really beautiful.
Very beautiful. With the colors. Their colors are so nice with the orange, white.
Oh, the design is great.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful stadium.
Wow.
And yes, the fashion police is here to talk about our boys. And I think when I saw the dress, I was so happy because
I think I got the same feeling.
Yes.
I thought
for the first time ever,
great.
they going to a tournament, and I felt very proud with them adorning the kente and all of that. It looked very, very nice. Nigeria also, tried to copy us in the kaftan and all of that, but still, Ghana still wins this this match. And you see Amati and then the players so much adorned. And the funny thing is, because they are Akans as us, they met us with this Adowa dance and all of that. Ivory Coast is a Ghana
which
annex.
is their dance.
That their dance.
Which we recognize as a can.
Yes, yes. So Yacheke is being ate by the Nzimas here. They speak Nzima in Ivory Coast.
They speak Twi as well.
Mewe is an Nzima, but yeah.
When you mentioned Mewe, just let me digress. Freddie Mewe came to play in the National Theatre many years ago, and Tommy Anaforson was the MC. And Freddie Mewe was doing his Zoblazo. They said Chiche Mumie, no, and was dancing. And then he stopped, and everybody was singing. So Tommy asked him that, Mewe can wind his waist really well. Tommy, when you wind your waist and say Chiche Mumie, what does it mean? Then he said, he's sorry about that. He's sorry about the use of that. It is his language. It's his private language. It's not French. He's very sorry. He was apologizing to the audience. He's very sorry. It's his language because it is. What does it mean? So Chiche Mumie means divide it into two. And then the whole audience went wild. Wow. And he didn't understand. And Tommy explained to him, and he started crying. And then he played the song again, and that was a great night of Zoblazo at the National Theatre. This must have been 1997, something like that. Anyway,
that's really nice.
The story.
Yes. So it's been almost 42 years since we won, and the last time we won in 1982, there was a lovely story that came up. So that was Samuel Lamte, a former player in that same team, said on the final, the finance minister and the sports minister of Libya had been sent by the General Gaddafi to pay each player $5,000. And Rollins heard this in Accra and called them and told them, if you make sure you lose this match, you don't come to Ghana. And they played their heart out. And they won. They came expecting something to happen, and nothing came.
Oh, nothing happened?
No, they didn't.
After the fanfare, we went to Nicholson Stadium to see them.
They just got a salute, and that was it.
They won a dramatic penalty shootout.
Yeah, 7-6.
Very dramatic.
7-6.
After a 2-2 game.
2-2 game, so
it was
7-6
massive.
Penalties, yeah. That was the last time he won.
So this time they promised them enough. They met Nana Akufo-Addo before they left.
Yeah.
What's the situation with Mohamed Kudus?
The last game before he left West Ham, that's against Arsenal, he picked up a knock. So it's a groin injury, and he's trying to nurse it. I don't think he's fit for the first match, so Ghanaians should really lower their expectations. In his place will be Andre Ayew, the experienced Andre Ayew.
Are they the same kind of player?
Yes, number 10. The AM position.
Okay.
We have to do with
offensive midfielder on the left.
No, that's the central midfielder.
Could we 10 is central?
Yes, central.
So that's not 10, that's 8 then.
8 is okay. So that's central midfield, but 10 is like the one behind the striker.
Okay, and that's Kudus?
That's Kudus.
The one who plays behind the striker?
Yes, that's Kudus.
Yeah, so this is very far advanced in midfield.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
So the central midfield will be Majid Ashimeru.
What about the Kotoko player? Is he going to be in the team?
Lamte, yes, he's in the team.
But is he going to be in 11? If Kudus is not there and you need a backup, you're going to play Andre. So you need somebody who can pick up the balls in case Andre loses and set up the distribution. Certainly.
Dr. Tamaklo got pissed some days ago because the coach didn't even
put him in the Namibia game.
Yes. Yeah. Because it was against Namibia, for crying out loud.
So at least you have to let us see what he can do and gain his confidence.
Use some of the French players and then give them the confidence.
He certainly must do something with him because Ghanaians are fascinated about local players who are good because we think we don't give them the opportunity.
It's been a while.
Who is your pick though to be able to win this tournament?
I think Egypt.
Better than Senegal?
Yeah.
Better than Cameroon?
Yeah.
Better than Morocco, who were in the semi-finals of the World Cup? You think so?
Yeah.
Because of Mohamed Salah?
Not because of Mohamed Salah. The last edition, it was just Mohamed Salah that was a star player, but they still got to the finals because they have the temperament. It's like Real Madrid. Real Madrid can play so badly in the Champions League and still get to the finals. It's about temperament. When you win it a lot of times, you're good. It was like Ghana before. Those days, we didn't have to suffer. We get to the semi-finals.
That's what I was saying. We don't check the group games to say who
now we have to call it. We have to calculate. Okay, if Cape Verde lose to this,
no, we're going to beat Cape Verde, and we should be able to beat Egypt 1-0.
Hopefully,
with that, we should be there. Hopefully. Okay, I think there's a montage that we've created for the Black Stars. Can you check whether the montage is ready? We'll show it, and then we'll go and talk about. The montage is ready. Okay, so viewers, let's support the Black Stars. Here's a montage for the team. so we're going now to talk about the American election. We still have one more break. We might do it. Dr. Chisikanko, can I go on? Okay, Dr. Chisikanko was here, and we recorded this earlier about the American election. He had a lot to tell us. All of this year, he'll be assisting us with understanding and dealing with the American election. Here's what he told us earlier today. I asked him about Trump, his chances. Could he win? Would he be on the ballot? Will he not be on the ballot? We also talk about the Democrats Party, but I'll show you that later. But here's Dr. Sikanko on the Republican Party, the fortunes of Donald Trump potentially in election 2024 in America.
Yeah, there is him, the big guy, trying to write his own political story, one of the biggest political spectacles, if he is able to actually win and come back to the White House.
As in win the
primary.
The primaries of the Republican Party.
Yes.
Or to win the election itself.
Yeah, of course, that's the story he's trying to write.
Okay.
To get to the White House.
Where is he now? What is the issue about him? What do we hear? If you're a casual observer of the American political situation, you know that he has some court cases. Some states say he cannot contest. CNN's poll says that the 5 big states that decide elections, he's leading over there. What is the faith, legally and politically?
Yes, very good question. So, like we've already established, the Republicans are looking for a candidate to run against him with Donald Trump. The case here is there's a lot swiveling around him, as is always the case, a lot of drama around him. The court cases. Yes, as many as 91 felony charges against him. Unprecedented.
All for what happened on January 6th?
4 things. There's January 6th. There's the Georgia election. He tried to interfere in the Georgia case. There is the Florida Mar-a-Lago case where he had the classified documents. And then there is the New York case where they said he overbloated his account and other things to make him look good and go for loans. You know, that's a civil right. I mean, a civil case.
Action,
yeah, not a criminal one. In order to make his account look good, he sometimes overestimated and all of that. So these are the 4 cases. The most serious one is the January 6th one, where he was trying to obstruct, he was trying to interfere in the outcome of the election, and they charged him with a very serious one, insurrection, under the 14th Amendment, which means that you are trying to overthrow a government or prevent a new government from taking power. And that's when people marched up to the Capitol, into the U.S. Congress, and then disrupted it. I mean, people have been jailed because of that. The highest jail term is around 21 to 22 years.
Handed down.
Oh, yes. That's been ended. They are in jail. There's 19 years. There's 15 years. Some went in for 3 years and all of that for the actions that took place on January 6th. And it has been traced. Donald Trump has been charged as one of the key figures who encouraged the perpetuation of that act. And so
is that why he's not running? Is it true that he's not able to run in some states for the Republican primaries?
That's correct. It was an idea people were toying with, that he's so, toxic, that he doesn't deserve to even run for president. I'm saying that's what some people were saying. Yeah. He does not be. So some legal experts began pondering over it. And then finally, one particular state decided to test it. So some people took it to court in Colorado. And unthinkably, the Supreme Court of Colorado sided with the people who brought the court case.
So in Colorado, he cannot be on the ballot?
He cannot be on the ballot.
For the Republican Party?
For the Republican Party. But there's a catch. The Republican Party was so aghast, they couldn't believe it. They've taken it to the Supreme Court, like the high apex court of the
Supreme Court of Colorado?
No, federal, of the entire
So there's an appeal from the Colorado matter to the federal Supreme Court.
To the federal Supreme Court.
But there is also a case at the Federal Court of Appeal where his lawyers are arguing that a former president cannot be prosecuted unless he has been impeached by both houses.
Yes. So
that matter is pending, I think. They had arguments yesterday.
There's that one too. So there's just too much going around.
So it's the Republican Party who sued in the federal Supreme Court, not Trump himself.
No, not Trump himself. Not Trump himself.
Okay, so they are arguing that their candidates should be allowed to participate in the election in every state in America.
Correct.
Including Colorado.
Including Colorado.
Irrespective of what the Colorado Supreme Court says or what the Colorado law says.
Exactly.
They are saying that once they have passed him as a candidate for the Republican Party, he should be allowed to contest the election.
Yes, or even as a contestant and a former president, they should allow him to compete.
Okay,
and it's not just Colorado, it's also Maine. There's Maine too. That's what Maine is off. He's also off that ballot. But anyway, you're going to say something.
But can he win? Assuming he doesn't contest in Colorado, he doesn't contest in Maine, can he and he contests in the other states, can he still be emerged as a Republican nominee?
It's possible. It's possible.
Is it just a matter of numbers?
Yeah, it's a matter of numbers and also the because every state has a number of delegates.
How many electoral votes does Colorado have?
I think Colorado has between nine electoral college votes. But then in the primaries, it then depends on the amount of votes that you get generally. Do you get it? And then also there's another issue of the rippling effect. Illinois has joined about 20 to 24 other states. Oregon, there's Oregon. In fact, they are going to rule tomorrow. So other states are being motivated by what Colorado and Maine did. And so the Republican Party and others are afraid that if they allow Colorado to do what they are doing, the other people are going to.
And that's why they're in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So the Supreme Court was to rule against the Colorado court. That ends it for everyone else?
Yeah, because the Supreme Court's where the
federal Supreme Court.
Yeah, the federal.
The final authority.
It's the final one, but yeah.
Given that, as they say, the Supreme Court is Trump's court. Given that it is there a concern from civil society in America that the Supreme Court might side with Donald Trump because, by and large, he's thought to be their sort of patron? Or will that situation make people confident that the Supreme Court will be thinking about exerting their own independent authority, independent of the appointee, which is Donald Trump? Which way will it play out?
Yeah, good question. And now we are getting into legal, but I'm not a legal guy, but I would get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, you are right, it's a Republican Supreme Court, 6-3 against the Democrats. And out of the 6, Trump appointed 3. Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and then Amy Barrett. So yes, there's the likelihood that they could side. I mean, if they are going to vote ideologically, conservatively, Republicanly, there's the likelihood that, yes, they might side with Trump. But then the Supreme Court is also very, very, not scared, but they are careful of not being seen as being political. And they are being guided by the George Bush versus Al Gore case, where people were like, hey, you guys shouldn't really have stepped into this thing. And that is what gave us George Bush, and that is what led to XYZ. And so people really, it's blemished the image of the court. It was like a court had decided an electoral case in the US, and they don't really like that. So the Supreme Court is very wary. They want to protect that apolitical thing. So it might not just be a open and shut conservative Republican
Supreme Court
thing.
who have had the confidence to do something that has not been done in 50 odd years, to overturn Roe and Wade.
Yeah.
This is a Supreme Court that has demonstrated that they are conservative without apology.
Yeah.
Because they went ahead to cut off Roe and Wade, which everyone suspected some of the Republican Supreme Courts wanted to do, but they hesitated.
Correct.
This Supreme Court has done it.
Yes.
So is it the kind of Supreme Court that you think will be worried about their public image if they want to go conservative on the matter?
It's a very interesting thing, and I mean, I've been reading a lot from some of the legal scholars, and it's unpredictable. You see, because if you look at somebody like John Roberts, who is the Supreme Court Justice, I mean the Chief Justice, and he was appointed by Bush, a conservative. You see, Roberts is the kind of guy who does not, he wants to really protect the sanctity of the Supreme Court. So he's always very careful of going like full conservative. Like you are saying, there are some who are unabashedly so, conservative that they are not shy about it. And as you said, you overturn Roe versus Wade. But Roberts has always tried to, despite his hardcore conservative credentials, he has always tried to temper that with a certain notion that the Supreme Court should not become politicized. So you can't really judge.
When are we expecting these rules to come out, these rulings of the court to come out? Because the Iowa caucuses happens soon.
Yeah, in fact, next week Monday is
next
the
week
Iowa
Monday is Iowa
caucus.
Yes.
Yes,
and Trump is on the ballot for Iowa.
He's on the ballot, and
most likely he's going to win.
Yeah, he's going to win Iowa.
Even though Iowa is not that significant in terms of electoral votes, is it?
Yes, but significant in terms of momentum.
Yes,
remember,
always.
Yes.
No, is it not new? Is it not the one after Iowa is what?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
New Hampshire is the momentum one.
No,
Iowa is when everybody's feeling sleepy.
No,
when we have not really started. And then we rise up to wake up. Iowa is what
is that
Obama won.
Yes.
Iowa is what Obama won. And everybody woke up.
Thank you.
And said, hey, what is happening in the Democratic Party? The black guy won Iowa.
Yeah. So it's actually Iowa.
But Hillary Clinton won New Hampshire, remember?
Yes. So it's always a big competition. You know, because I get what you mean. New Hampshire is the first in the nation primary.
Yeah.
Iowa is the first in the nation caucus. And the caucus is different from a primary.
Yes.
So
New Hampshire, if you get Iowa and you hit New Hampshire, so everyone was waiting for Barack Obama to see if he can win New Hampshire.
New Hampshire,
he didn't win.
Yeah.
But the confidence was still there, and
exactly.
they carried the Iowa on in a very dramatic way, which excellent to David Axelrod, David Plouffe, and all those guys who worked on that campaign.
Yeah.
So
that's the dynamic.
Wins Iowa, which is what the polls are saying. What does it mean?
Then it means that it's important because it means the viability of his candidature has now been cemented. Because the argument that his opponents are making is that, look at the guy. Yes, he's former president. Yes, he has star power. He's popular. But just look at the amount of drama around him, the court cases that are hanging around his neck. We don't need a candidate who is mired in so much legal troubles and all of that. He's going to be a very, very, toxic candidate. So the opponents are arguing that, yes, great guy, but there's just too much happening around him. There's somebody who might even be indicted or sentenced by
in the middle of the campaign.
Yes,
by the time of the election.
Yeah, can you imagine?
So it's those toxins that take him out.
Yes.
So if Iowa were to elect him, it changes that.
It changes that narrative for him because then he can make the argument that despite all of this, hey, look at me, I've
if he wins Iowa, it will bring pressure on the Supreme Court to cut out Colorado.
Exactly.
As well,
yes. So that is, a lot of people are looking at Iowa, and that's just next week Monday.
For both Democrats and Republicans?
For both Democrats and Republicans
on the
same day.
Next Monday.
Okay.
And by then the Black Stars would have played their first game.
Right.
So we would have won 3 points and we'll be relaxed and we can follow.
We're ready to follow that.
Yeah, we should be.
Yeah, but there's a little catch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you see, there's too much complexity around US elections. And I need to explain because some people might take me on for that. So here's the thing. You see, the Democrats, they changed their calendar because they thought Iowa had too much power. As they say, as Iowa goes, so the nation goes. Most of the time, the person who wins Iowa
eventually wins.
And people hated that because they felt Iowa was too white and does not represent their diversity. So the Democrats changed the calendar. So Iowa is no more first on the calendar. So when you ask me, are the Democrats also voting on the same day? It's tricky because, yes, they can start voting, but they wouldn't. In fact, they can start doing the caucuses, but they
won't declare any results.
No, until March.
Until March?
Yeah, because President Biden managed to cut them off being the first.
So who is the first?
South Carolina.
And that's happening when?
I think that's also going to be in February. I'm not too sure
South
about
Carolina
that.
But is more black, isn't it?
Yeah, and it has quite a huge black percentage. And Biden didn't win Iowa. He didn't win New Hampshire. It was South Carolina that saved him.
Oh, yeah, this is very interesting. So they also do the things that we do here.
To some extent. Yeah.
Then we should stop attacking Asedin Ketia because these are the things he knows how to do. So that's interesting. So Biden didn't win Iowa. So you're thinking that the ghost of his defeat in Iowa the last time is hunting him. Yeah. He doesn't want Iowa to be first.
Yeah.
But Biden is not being competed substantially.
Yes,
but so he would win Iowa most likely.
And there's also a larger argument in the whole country that America is very diverse, it's multicultural, and to be honest, Iowa is quite white,
very white.
Very white. So they feel if you let Iowa determine the early outcome of the momentum, it's not representative. Just to answer your question, that are both of them voting on the same day?
Oh, okay, I get it.
I needed
That's
to
interesting.
clarify that.
So when is New Hampshire then?
New Hampshire, it's going to be early February.
Okay.
It's going to be early February. But we can take a look at I'm sure.
The Republican candidates. The Republican candidates. Who are they?
Okay, I don't know why. Okay, let me just focus on him because he's here. But I wanted to start from those who are more likely to challenge Trump. I think let's do that.
To give challenge to Trump a substantial challenge.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that.
The formidable ones. Let's start with that.
The very first one is Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley?
Yeah, Nikki Haley.
Nikki,
Nikki. So, first Indian American governor of South Carolina, first female Indian. In fact, first female governor of South Carolina, first person of Indian heritage who sat in an American presidential cabinet, and also
she was minister for what?
U.S. ambassador to UN.
Okay,
appointed by Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's a cabinet position.
A cabinet position.
Yeah.
And then only the second Indian American to ever be governor in the entire country. So she made a name for herself, in that respect. First female governor of South Carolina. And then also she became ambassador and very, very rapidly conservative, And when she won the governorship in New Hampshire, she had defeated a long-time incumbent and took the state by surprise and became extremely popular nationwide. Now she's coming on board and seems to be one of the most vociferous opponents to Donald Trump. So the people who are not comfortable with Trump look at her and say, this is a rising star. they need the female vote, because remember that made a huge difference in 2020 and also in the midterm elections. And she tends to represent somebody who is viscerally different from Donald Trump. So Nikki Haley, and you know, because of the whole gender movement, she's getting a lot of traction over there. So she's one of the most likely persons to challenge.
Hold on, let me forgive my biases, but everything you said about her suggests to me this must be Trump's running mate.
Yeah, Paul, I know where you're going with that.
But everything you've said about her right now, as I'm listening to you, the description you've given to her, for me, with my biases towards Trump, I'm thinking, Donald Trump should pick this as running mate.
No, but it's not bias. It's a lot of good strategy, you know, because in fact,
is she presenting herself or something like that? But it's going to be, it's not unsurmountable, but it's going to be a Herculean task to defeat Trump.
Honestly, yes.
In the Republican Party right now.
Yes.
So if she has such great credentials and she's receiving such great momentum, perhaps she's setting up herself that I am the next in line, I'm the number 2.
Perfect political. I mean, those are the harsh conversations that are going on. If you listen in the closed door, behind the scenes, I mean, if you talk to a lot of people, that is what they think Nikki Haley should position herself to be. And so people are talking to her a lot these days. I mean, behind the closed, I mean, I've talked to a number of people, so she's kind of reducing some of the attacks on Donald Trump and all of that. But that's raw politics.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but
that's very political.
Yeah, but on the surface, of course,
we'll keep an eye on her. We'll keep an eye on her. What's next? Who's next?
Great candidate. Ron DeSantis. Okay. So if you are watching this and you like Donald Trump, but you just don't like the nastiness, the expletive nature of his very raw language, you want a clean form of Donald Trump, the outsider look, this is your man.
I see.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis from Florida.
Oh, Florida is good.
Yes.
And big.
And big.
And significant.
In the election, yeah.
Absolutely.
Swing states.
Yeah. It's a swing state and has several electoral votes.
And it does
I think the biggest is 24 or something like that.
Yes.
Electoral votes.
That's
is it 24, 30 something? But Florida has quite a lot.
Yeah, we need to check that. But definitely one of the biggest.
Yes, definitely one of the biggest.
So this Ron DeSantis, who does everything Donald Trump does, but without all the insult and all those melodrama and those kind of things. So for a long time, people said, okay, yes, you say you don't like Donald Trump, but this is Donald Trump without all the baggage. So this is our guy. So for a long time, he seemed to be a very plausible replacement to Donald Trump. Very radical. He passed an abortion bill in his state that had never been done before, which placed a 6-week ban on abortions. It was called the heartbeat bill, protection bill. It means that once the fetus has a heartbeat, you can't commit abortion. So after 6 months, after 6 weeks, there's a ban on it, which made the Republicans, if you know the role of abortion in American politics.
Roe and Wade.
Yeah, they went gaga. Very happy about that. He's the one who outlawed critical race theory from the textbooks in the school, because he says that you shouldn't make people feel guilty by talking about race. By talking about race.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's complicated.
Oh, yeah. But
he wants people to freely talk about race.
He does not. It's the opposite way. You know, critical race theory tends to look at American history and society through the prism of race. He doesn't like that because
he said, "Look at us in America."
Yeah,
black or white.
Yeah, he doesn't like the white guilt thing. You do understand what I mean?
Yeah, because when you do that, the whites become guilty of slave trade in particular.
Yeah, I do get it.
And all that. Okay, so look at America as America. Forget about the race issues.
Exactly. Do you get it?
So, but that's not. We don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, but it resonates with
majority of the right wing.
Okay. You get it. So that's your guy. I mean, and he's done.
So he's right.
It's right.
Okay.
As right as it goes.
Okay.
So this is Ron DeSantis. If you're looking for the quote unquote cleaner version of Trump.
Yeah. But would you put Nikki ahead of him in the polls?
Actually, Nikki is rising ahead of him in the polls now. Factually.
Right now.
Yeah, now.
So Nikki is sort of overtaking him.
He's overtaking, but for the longest time
he was second.
He was second.
Okay.
Yeah, he was second, but now Nikki is overtaking him a little bit.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, sorry. Do we go here or here? There are two more. So I don't know.
They will set it for you. Two more he expects, please.
Yeah, so there's Chris Christie.
Oh, he's old. He's been around. Chris Christie's been around.
From 2012 era.
Yeah. He's been around. Are we getting? Okay, there. No, that's Nikki. We're looking for the next one.
Yeah, former governor of New Jersey.
Chris Christie. The New Yorkers and the New Jersey people like him.
Yes. Oh yeah. You know, he made a name for himself.
But this is not Chris Christie.
No, this is not Chris Christie. But I can deal with this.
Yes.
I mean, but this is an interesting guy. Right. So let's talk about him. Okay, so if you are...
Is he black?
He's Indian He has Indian heritage. He's Indian American.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Vivek.
Vivek.
Yeah, Vivek. You know, Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
Ramaswamy.
Yeah. That's a very Indian name.
Oh yeah. So you see, he's young. So he also has a different feel to it. If you are somebody out there who wants a very young candidate, you are sick and tired. I mean, look at it, Donald Trump, like 71. 77.
Yeah.
Joe Biden,
80.
It's Charlie, octogenarian. So if you want a very young, energetic candidate, this is your guy.
How old?
38.
Wow.
I'm telling you. And he has a very nice story. He became a millionaire or is a billionaire at the age of 31. He's a biotech millionaire, you know, and he went to Harvard, went to Yale, made a name for himself in the pharmaceutical and tech industry. Made a lot of money and now decided the wife is a throat surgeon as well.
Okay.
Very smart one. And
he's a governor?
Senator? No, he's a private guy, just like Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, who wants to run for president. Never run for any office, no governor, nothing. So, you know, people like that because people are sometimes tired of politicians.
He may be the better running mate.
Than
Nikki.
So you see, now you are falling in love with Vivek.
He's Indian, he's kind of black. He is, so the Asians will associate with him. And then the Hispanics will look at him as one of us, one of non-real Americans and all that.
Minority.
Yeah, minority. And that's the votes the Democrats have.
Yes.
That's usually the votes. That's a Democratic voting bloc.
Correct.
So if you can chip away that a little bit by using him as running mate, and he is successful, I think he makes it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yes. So that's Vivek.
But the Republicans then will be showing more candidates for the future than the Democrats are right now.
Yes.
The Democrats are showing Biden. That's it.
Who's old.
Very old.
Past.
And that's it. And
Yes.
they are showing Trump who is in his last opportunity to become president or last opportunity to lead US politics.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the array of the people they are lining up now, looks like they're showing Americans that we have your future, sorted out. Yeah.
Sometimes you look at the political parties and you can tell that there's one group who has quite a line of succession, candidates.
Competent people
who represent
can always take it up,
And Vivek will be one. But you see, there's a catch to it, you know, where maybe we shouldn't rush too much. There's a little catch. I mean, the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Mm-hmm.
So when you open the book cover, what you see is, can you imagine a candidate who is more Trumpian than Trump?
Him? Oh, really?
Yeah, he's to the right of Trump. He's more Trump than Trump himself.
For an Indian?
Oh, yeah. His views are very outlandish, as radical, outside the mainstream as you can imagine.
Like what?
One, he said they should raise the voting age above 18 to 25. He says
I agree with that.
He said when they come, he will outlaw the Department of Education.
Why?
Oh, yeah, because he says that American education is indoctrinating the young ones. You know, the whole gay, transgender...
Oh, yes. That we are with him. We are with him on that. We are with him on that. Yeah, we are with him on that.
Okay. And then he says he will outlaw the FBI.
Oh, how?
Oh, yeah. So
who's going to do the FBI's work?
Well, I guess when we meet him, we'll ask him one day. You know, so that's...
The FBI, the internal security.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to outlaw them because American police can do it.
Yeah, and he also thinks that the FBI have been mounting surveillance of people, and I mean...
But that's their work.
So this is why
sometimes
they say it is
Okay.
extreme and outlandish. You get what I mean?
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Has Christianity always been one of the religions in the world to you?
Oh, hallelujah. Praise God. Christianity is not a religion, neither is it a joining of a church and doing the Christian things like praying and giving and so on. Hallelujah. Christianity is the outworking of God's own kind of life received into the spirit of a man. Whoa! This divine life in the heart of a man makes him righteous, keeps him healthy,